Hello, lovely ladies, and congratulations on almost completing week 4 of the Elevate and Energize Challenge. I'm so excited, and I can't believe that we've only got just over 2 weeks left together. This week's educational video is one of my favorite things to do, according to my children, and that is all about sleep. So, how much sleep do we really need? Well, according to the research, adults need anywhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. The sweet spot for peak performance, recovery, and mental clarity is around that 8 hours. But it's not just about the quantity of sleep we get. It's also about the quality of sleep that we get each night. And studies have found that sleeping less than 6 hours regularly is linked to reduced immune function, increased risk of obesity and diabetes, and higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol. So let's talk about some of the health and fitness benefits of sleep. Well, when we sleep, our body goes into what is considered our repair mode. So I'm going to break this down for you into different subcategories, thinking about our brain and our mental health to begin with. So with regard to our brain and our mental health, sleep is super important for boosting our memory and learning cognition. It helps to regulate our mood and emotional stability, and it helps to lower the risk of anxiety and depression. From a physical fitness point of view, sleep is when our muscles repair and grow, and that happens specifically during deep sleep, which we'll talk about in a minute. Sleep increases our human growth hormone, or HGH, as you may have seen, and also improves our reaction time, our coordination, and our strength output. So super duper important when it comes to our fitness. From a metabolic and a fat loss perspective, lack of sleep can actually increase our ghrelin, or our hunger hormone, and decreases our leptin hormone, which is our hormone in our body that is associated with satiety. So that's the hormone that tells us that we have had enough to eat. Poor sleep is also linked to insulin resistance. And insulin resistance essentially means that our bodies find it difficult or is unable to access our fat stores efficiently. And finally, from an immune perspective, while we sleep, our bodies produce what's called cytokines, which helps us to fight any infections, which is why it is absolutely super duper important that we get enough rest, particularly when we're unwell. So I just want to go through the science of sleep and exactly what happens each night when we go to bed. So when we go to sleep, we actually go through what's considered sleep cycles. And there are 3 stages of a sleep cycle. An entire sleep cycle occurs every 90 minutes. Within that cycle, we've got 3 stages, including light, heavy or deep, and REM sleep. REM, short for rapid eye movements. So each of the stages of sleep have a unique role. So when we enter our light sleep stage, this is when we are preparing the body and our brain to fully rest. Once we enter our deep sleep, this is the part or the stage of the sleep where our physical recovery, our immune function, and our muscle growth occurs. Super important parts. However, our REM sleep stage is really important for our brain, specifically our processing, our memory consolidation, and when we are in our dream state. Another term that you may have heard with regards to sleep is our circadian rhythm. So our circadian rhythm is actually our 24-hour internal body clock. It's very much regulated by light, especially blue light, which is the light that we see from the sun. We also get from our technology. And our hormones such as melatonin and cortisol, which are naturally produced in our body. Now, just like anything, too much of a good thing can often lead to negative side effects. And that is the same thing for sleep. So regularly sleeping more than 9 to 10 hours can be absolutely a red flag. It has been linked via scientific research to increased risk of depression, poorer cardiovascular health, cognitive decline, and inflammation markers higher in the body. Excess sleep can absolutely disrupt our circadian rhythm, which can lead to, unfortunately, daytime fatigue and fog. So if you've ever felt that you've overslept, it may be, or you may have heard people say, I'm so exhausted, I think I overslept. Okay, so we've talked about the positive benefits of sleep, and we've also talked about some of the negative side effects of having too much sleep. So how do we put this into practice? Well, we're going to walk through some tips and tricks on how to achieve a really great quality night's sleep. So it starts before we actually go to bed, and it starts at our last meal. So I always recommend to my clients that we finish eating at least 2, if not 3 hours before bedtime. It's also important that about an hour before we go to bed, we switch off all screens or blue lights, or incorporate some blue light blocker glasses or filters that you have on your phones. Dim the lights. So we really want to start telling our body the sun has gone down now. So turning off as many lights in your house as possible will start to send that message to your body, and then your melatonin levels will start to increase. And melatonin is that hormone that's responsible for helping us to fall asleep. It can also be really helpful if you develop a really great bedtime routine. Just like we do when we have babies or kids, it's super important to help them regulate their nervous system and just calm down before it's actually time to climb into bed. So some really lovely, relaxing activities at this point. Some of my favorites could be, or do include, reading a book. I'm not a huge meditator, but you could absolutely try meditation. Taking a nice bath, a nice warm bath can absolutely help, or listening to some beautiful calm music. One of the most important things that I would really love you to do is to set a consistent sleep routine. Now, I know this can be difficult, but if we can try over the course of our week to keep our bedtime and our awake time fairly consistent within sort of an hour to an hour and a half periods. That way, we are setting our circadian rhythm, which will essentially help us to A, fall asleep, and B, get really good quality sleep. Finally, ladies, I wanted to share some supplements that can absolutely be of assistance when it comes to supporting great quality sleep. They're not magic pills, but there are a couple that I absolutely recommend. We spoke last week in our hydration video about magnesium, and specifically magnesium glycinate. I do highly recommend that all of my clients should be taking a good quality magnesium supplement, specifically magnesium glycinate. All right, that can help to calm our nervous system before we go to bed. Another great one that I personally take is L-theanine. So I take L-theanine every night, about half an hour before I go to bed. L-theanine is also found in green tea and does help to promote that relaxation without causing sedation. There are a couple of other supplements out there, of course, on the market. Supplements including ashwagandha, glycine, and you can also nowadays get melatonin. However, I do caution you with melatonin. It is not a long-term supplement. It is absolutely something that can assist you with any short-term sleep disturbances, and is especially good for instances of jet lag, for example. However, no long-term studies have been done on melatonin, and it is found, or we have found, that in the short-term studies that have been done, it can actually impact your natural circadian rhythm if taken over longer periods of time. Okay, ladies, wrapping up for this week's educational video. I just need to reiterate, sleep is not a luxury for us. It is an absolute biological necessity. If sleep was not important, it would have been phased out of our biological systems years ago. However, as you've seen, or as I've indicated to you today, there are many health benefits to incorporating good quality sleep between 7 and 9 hours each night. So if you want to train harder, live longer, think clearer and feel better, the most important thing that I would like you to do is to prioritize your sleep.